Hello and welcome to the Glow Up Method. This is the place where we talk all things about our lives, right? We talk about relationships, we talk about jobs, we talk about careers, we talk about living and reimagining and crafting this life that we are individually proud of, right? So what you're proud of, me living a life that I'm proud of. And my name is Natasha. I'm so excited to be here with you today. Let me just say this, people, progress over perfection. I'm looking back at where I was today, a month ago today. And let me tell you, I had no idea of the napalm that was just about to go off in my life. I mean, there's this part of me that maybe thought it would happen at some point, but no clue this would all happen and transpire the way it has. And I just have to say, I'm so really proud, number one, of my kids. I am so proud of them for having the courage to navigate this and to be open and open-minded and, have all their experiences and be really supportive and helpful, around the house, as a community, and even just in general, they've been here and given me hugs. We don't need to have a conversation, just suddenly there's a hug. And it's just thank you. I needed that. And again, I heard this thing this morning and it really resonated with me. It was this gentleman and he was like, my mom is the preacher of, she loves when everything is going wrong in someone's life, she gets fired up. And I was like, what kind of monster is this? Who gets fired up at someone else's things? Pain, what is going on? And I continue to listen. And he was like, when everything hits the fan, when everything is reshuffled, this is the best thing that can ever happen. Because guess what? There is going to be change. Maybe you were too afraid to change before. Maybe you were stagnant or whatever. This is inevitable. Your life's changing. And I can't remember exactly how she said it and he said it, but it was all wisdom packed. It was just about there is some wisdom coming. And I was like, yes and yes. And I just feel I am emerging. I feel okay, I'm coming back out of that shell. I feel, I have things going on still, right? I'm not going to lie. And my foot still is asleep and my back is still sore, but not as bad as it was. Progress over perfection. I'm 1% better each day than I was that day when I felt again, I know, I sit here and it was I know that we had verbally said we were separated and all these things, but I was still very true to my vows. I was still very true and hopeful that there would be a reconciliation. I was just hopeful for change in a lot of ways because I wanted my family. Would Chris and I be the most compatible or, a healthy couple? I don't know. I think it would take a lot of work. I think that there's been a lot of craziness. But what I do know is there is so much progress. So long story short of it, I need some more tech support help. And I had asked him, would you be willing to help me set up this computer? I have all these family photos. I have all these family videos. I have my computer. All these things used to back up to his computer. And I realized I don't have a backup. There is no plan B. And for me, it's really important to have my family pictures. That's my, that was my one thing I told him when we were, married, throughout it. It was you can do a lot of things to me. You delete my photos as an IT person. It is a 100% divorce. That is happening. So, thankfully, my photos never got deleted in order to get the divorce. However, it was something really important to me. So basically I had my uncle had bought these computers. So now as it stands, he had 3 computers. They are identical. Chris has one. I have the one that was my auntie's, and Dylan is using the other one to stream. So they had been, Chris had been using his, but Dylan and I had been collecting dust. And so I have this now, and I took pictures and I took thorough notes on how I can be empowered to make sure that my pictures are taken care of. My pictures are backed up. My pictures are secure. And I know there's probably a more efficient way. I'm sure there's a cloud somewhere. Like, where do they really sit? Like, when I've flown, I've tried to look for all those pictures and things, data hidden in the clouds, and I haven't seen it. So these people hide it really well. But anyways, I'm just kidding. I'm not that bad with technology. I think. I don't know. But anyways, I ended up like taking notes. I did everything. So he helped me. I'm really grateful for that. He helped me to set me up on that and make sure that, you know, our family photos are still going to be around to be cherished for many years to come. And I was really, really, really proud of myself. I mean, really proud of myself because I really went into it thinking I am going to show up as the best version of me. This person walking in the house is not this person I was married to for 25 years. And there is anger and sadness and betrayals and all of that crap that I bundled up with Chris, right? Like there's also good times, right? Like there's you know those things. It's none of that anymore. Like it's just none of that. He's just a normal person. And any of the expectations or any of the things that I wish were different, they just aren't, and they're not gonna be. For right now, this is where we are. We are living separate. We are now like really in the official stages of the separation, and soon we will be in the official stages of the divorce. And so I'm getting my ducks in my row before that happens and making sure that I'm able to stand on my own feet, because I have a feeling when that time comes and we go down that avenue, it's not going to be pretty. But my job here is to also fight for what's right in some ways. You know, I don't want to fight. I'm more than willing to settle and say, hey, this isn't acceptable. And that's it. That's my thing. That's all. I have a very, very minimal thing that I believe is the right and just thing to do. And he may agree or disagree, but I can either take you to court and we'll figure it out, or we can just kind of settle and have this be done in the most amicable way possible. So I appreciate so much so. Anyways, I need to get my ducks in a row before that happens. I already was caught off guard once, and I was like, okay, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And so I really, in order for me to be able to go to that next stage, I need to be ready. And I need some things to make sure that, hey, if there is a hardcore sever, because really I have been distancing myself. I've kept the communications very limited. Even, you know, when he wished me a happy Thanksgiving on Thanksgiving, I was with my kids, I was cooking, I was doing things. It wasn't the priority. I answered at the end of the night, and, you know, and I gave him a great, you know, very happy response. And every response has been really happy, but it has also been on my time, as are his. You know, he's not rushing to make sure he answers me immediately either. So we are separating. And I think that having that distance, again, originally the distance made me fond of him more, like for whatever twisted reason in my brain. Like I was really romanticizing him. I was romanticizing the relationship. I was despising his girlfriend. But here's the thing, and I still hold it true to my heart, like my opinions on it, that like for me personally, I'm a girl's girl. I'm not doing that to you. So you can hold that assured. If somebody wants to be with me, they can ex-nay the other relationships, say the right way, in order to be with me, because I don't want to be the one that inflicts that kind of harm on anybody else. Now, if you didn't know, right, like in you're in deceit and all this stuff like that, I give you some leeway, but we're all pretty smart usually. I mean, really, like sometimes we can figure things out. So I don't want to be tested on this, universe, please. You know, so don't test me on this. But what I'm saying is, like, again, that's my own personal identity, my own thing. That doesn't mean that's somebody else's. And there never was a vow between her and I, and there was never a commitment to my family. That was between Chris and I. There was never a commitment to my kids. That's between Chris and I. So whatever she does, again, that's her life. And so, you know, part of that for me today was, I loved yoga. I really loved yoga. Yoga was this great tool that really taught me a lot about myself, especially in the beginning stages of this journey. I didn't have the stamina to go do the exercises, the running, the walking, I didn't have it. And so I was really intrigued by yoga, and I loved doing them. Again, I found some yoga online and I loved it. It just was this place. And then when I got to the gym, fell in absolute head over heels, adored this woman. But here was the conundrum. She was at the same time as my favorite instructor. And I kind of got to this point where I was so obsessed with the steps that I was like, I can do an hour of my dance class. And I'm getting 7,000 steps plus, and my heart rate's here, and I'm burning this much calorie, or I can do some yoga and have this inside spiritual thing, and also some physical, I felt stronger, deeper, the muscles, it was a different experience. But the stage that I was at was like, I wanted to go. And so that's why I said, and I met many different instructors at the club that I really loved. But this one in particular, she really was just she is a very thorough explainer, and she corrects you. And that's what I want to know. Like, I don't know how to do a push-up still. Like, out of all the push-ups I've ever attempted, I really still don't know how to do it. And so, sorry, still have a little bit of the cough. But oftentimes we kind of just go through life again in our default settings. We think we're doing something right and we're totally doing it wrong. So I love that she comes up and corrects you. And she's a grandma, and she's just a remarkable woman. And I really adore that class, but it just never worked out with my schedule. I didn't have another hour and 15 minutes. I didn't have these things. And so I kept pushing it off. And one of the most challenging parts about this relationship with Chris and this new woman was that she was a yoga instructor. And again, like I was saying, I was putting these, on a pedestal, like, well, you're supposed to be all namaste vibes and like not hurting anyone. And like, you really hurt me and you hurt my kids. And that's 5 people you've hurt. And truth be told, I know you don't want my husband. I know you don't want him. You just want to have attention. And if you really loved him and you really wanted him, then great, stay with him and be with him. But don't do this just to mess around with him, because you're also hurting him. And that irritated me too. So, excuse me. But I say all that to say, so it was just like, it almost like cast this dark cloud on yoga. And I know the whole community was just, I was heartbroken by this yoga community and instructors. And yesterday I had this epiphany, and I was like, no, she can take a lot of things from me. And in a way, right? She can take Chris. She could have, gave him all the motivation to move out and now be off on his own. And now, he is having his own experience, and we are having a totally different experience over here without him. And I'm not going to allow her that power, or Chris that power, to cast this dark shadow on yoga. I'm injured still, so, it would behoove me to take easier classes that weren't so high impact, so that my back has time to continue to mellow out. So as much as I love a 9 a.m. Dance class that's there on Saturdays, I also know, hey, I'm still very much gingerly, so that I can do the ones that I love the most. So I decided last night I was going to take a yoga class today, and they had a back care one. So it was perfect. It was for my back, and it was with my favorite yoga instructor. And I felt like it was this symbolism of me taking something back. Because in a way, it felt like she had robbed Chris. In a way, it had felt like she had robbed me of yoga. In a way, she had robbed me of life for a long time. And I was giving her all this power and all this credit, and it really isn't due. Like, she doesn't deserve any of that. And so for me, it was this symbolism of, and I went back and forth this morning. I kind of felt uneasy about it. And I was like, should I even go? Like, this is ridiculous. Like, do I want to go? Like, what if I just start crying in the middle of this class? And I was like, so be it. Go and do it. Like, just go. And I am so grateful I did. Number one, I remembered how much I really liked yoga. Number two, I realized no one can take my power away, and no one can ever take something that wasn't mine to begin with away from me. Chris and I were where we were for many reasons, and he will have his story and I will have mine. And at the end of the day, the only thing I know for sure and for true is where we are right now. And this grieving these last few weeks, which again, it's a 25-year marriage. It's going to take a long time. Like with my weight loss, I was at 300 pounds. It's going to take a long time to lose. This grieving process, it's going to take a long time to heal and to emerge. And there's going to be days today that I feel empowered. I feel good. Like I had my own sense of healing and closure, and I was able to take it back. Because what is grief, right? Like grief is that space, that little space that we have this expectation or this idea, this notion of the way something's going to be. And then we have the reality of it. And that space in between, right? That space in between of here was the way we wanted things to go, and here's the way they went. This space right here, that's grief. It's sorrow, it's loss, it's disappointment, it's all of those things combined and even more. And so for me to honor that grief process and not stuff it and not, push it away and ignore it and pretend it's not there, but really diving into it head on and be like, okay, where am I at today? Okay, where am I at this hour? Has been a really new experience for me, number one. And number two, it has been really empowering. And I know it's because of every single tool that I have picked up along the way. Every single meditation that I have done that's led until today, every single daily dose of dysregulation shower that's led to today, every single 1-block walk that has led to today, every time I tried something new, every time I leaned into what my experience was instead of ignoring it, pretending it wasn't there, what it did was it made me stronger. It made me more confident. It made me wiser. And I don't always get it right. I don't. It is all about progress over perfection and being 1% better each day, and I believe I'm doing that. I believe that my interaction today when Chris came, I didn't feel sick to my stomach. Like I didn't feel like I wanted to make him hurt. I didn't want him to feel the way I had felt. I didn't want to punish him. I didn't. He just was a person. He just was a person. It wasn't my ex-husband. It wasn't this person that had all these emotional ties that I've connected to them. He was just a person coming to help me with some tech stuff. And, even when he got huffy, all those things that would have triggered me before, I just sat there with it. I was like, this is him being him, and I'm just going to let him be him. What he does, how he treats me, everything doesn't need to be you're violating. Listen, I know. I can at any time say, goodbye, please leave, but I really needed help. And I know I could have had somebody else do it. He knew it. He set up these systems. And I just was like, I'm going to keep it as cordial as possible so that going forward, our communication is as limited as possible. And of course, as time went on, he became more passive aggressive. Then he became aggressive and was screaming at me and was all upset about not being here on Thanksgiving. And I was like, well, where were you? And he's like, oh, I was with my girlfriend. And I was like, okay, well, okay, did you have a good time? How did you like the kids? And you met the kids. How are they? And he's like, they're nice, and so I wasn't angry about it. And I didn't feel like, well, you already had something, I didn't. I just let him be him. And I was able to be me. And I was like, I don't feel affected. I'm not it wasn't this heart pain in my heart that he was off with another woman on Thanksgiving and another set of kids. It just is what it is. It is who he is. That is what is going on. And if he has questions about that, he should wonder, well, why is it your family is not inviting you here? What role is it? And, I know he wants to blame me and he wants to blame our daughter and he wants to blame every other reason why he's not here. But the truth of the matter is he decided to leave. That is the reason he is not here. Nothing else. He had a decision and he made it. he did not want to no longer live here. And that's fine. Like, go. I say it all the time on here. That's why I say I can't even be mad at it, because this is all about living a life we're proud of. Maybe he wasn't proud of himself here. He didn't want to be here. He's living his one life miserable all the time. Then it's time to move on. And I can't even be mad about it. I can just say, yeah, it hurts. It hurt me. I wasn't expecting it. But on the same turn, like, kudos to you, like, for having the courage to change. Because so many of us sit in the pain over and over and over and over and over and just don't make any changes. So kudos for him for getting the courage to do everything he's done in the last few months to ensure he is where he is. Now, do I think that this is going to be the solution and suddenly he's going to be happy? No. I tell you here all the time. And I told him a gazillion times. And I would tell myself if I was in that position. Like, nothing is going to make you happy but you. And I know he's looking for all these external reasons. I was always the reason to blame for his unhappiness. And now that I'm gone, who is to blame for the unhappiness? I don't know. There's nobody to blame. It just sometimes is. And it's the way we look at things and realize, have that self-awareness of our roles in the relationships in our lives, right? Like, I don't do this because it's fun. I'm not like a, what do they call it? A massive sadist or something. Like, I'm not that. Like, it's not fun to sit in the pain. However, if I just keep kicking the can down the line, that pain is just growing and exasperating. And then that is just a whole different beast, and it's permeating out to everybody else around me. So yeah, sitting in discomfort right now isn't comfortable. Like, it's not desirable. However, it is the healthiest option for me. And I know, I can understand, like, there's probably things that you're going through too, that, like, you're in grief or you have been in grief. And you come to this place where you're coming out of it. And it doesn't mean I am. And it doesn't mean that tomorrow or the next day something else won't happen and I'm triggered and set off again, right? That's the process. It doesn't mean I'm not going to, hear a song and start crying. But today was one of those days, like, my today's playlist had a Pink on it, and it was like, so what? Like, I'm a freaking rock star. Like, like, I don't need you. And it wasn't in an angry way. It was like a liberating way for me. It was like, no, I don't deserve this treatment. And when he stood in here today, screaming at me because he wasn't here on Thanksgiving, blaming me, blaming his daughter, I said this, like, to myself. I just stood there and I just sat there quiet and I smiled. And usually I wouldn't. And I just sat there like this, and I was just like, the end of the day, the holidays are going to look a little different now. Like, he was like, well, if anybody, if everyone at the time when everybody likes me again and I'm welcome here again, I'm happy to be here for every holiday and all these things. And, again, I was like, the last I had heard, you said, I am not your family and you don't want to be here for the holidays. And again, it was like, he started to argue it, and I'm like, okay, it's just going to look different. Like, it's just going to look different. And I'm not going to sit here and argue, and I'm not even mad. Like, I'm like, honestly, I hope you're happy with your new woman. Like, I hope that she treats you well. I hope she was worth it all, and I hope he is for her, like, was worth all of this chaos at this time, right? Like, I wouldn't have done it at this time. It wasn't tidy and neat the way I wanted it, but it is what it is. And sometimes things happen exactly the way they're supposed to. My life has never gone tidy and neat. So why would I think that this event would? And then heck, it makes for good content, right? I'm sure you're tired of hearing it though, because sometimes I'm like, okay, let's get on to another subject. But however, I do feel that wrapped within there, like, there are so many lessons, there are so many little nuggets of things that, like, yes, it may not be a divorce for you. It may not be this, but it could be a loss of a loved one. It could be something else. And we have that same experience. It doesn't matter what the, the subject matter is. This grief is still grief. It's not a different grief, from this thing. There's crying, there's good memories, there's bad memories, there's like, what do I do with these things? I'm like, what do I do? Like, I was messing with him because I was like, hey, do you want the wedding album? And he was like, no, why do I want that? I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do with it? And he was like, well, we're not married. I'm like, well, he's like, well, actually we are, but he's like, we're not gonna be. And I was like, yeah, so So what do you want? What should we do with this thing? And he was just like, I don't know, you do whatever you want. But it's just interesting, how, and I wasn't like hurt by it. It wasn't like a sad thing. And he's like, I don't want to talk about these, upsetting things. And I was just like, I'm no longer upset by it. I have accepted this as the reality. We are no longer together. Our family is no longer a unit that lives together of 6 people. And over the course of the next year or two, that's going to continue to dwindle down. And at some point, who knows? It may just be me traveling around on a boat. I don't even know where I'm going to go. I don't know what's going to happen. I have no idea what the future is holding for me. I am literally hanging on here, doing the best I can. And I'm really appreciative of the space that the healing has allowed, and that as I continue to heal, that I have more space to figure these things out. I'm really blessed that I have the resources around me, while not being the easiest or the best options, that I can get through this time right now and not feel like I need to rush through it and get through it and do something that maybe doesn't align with me and maybe doesn't, go to the whole fact that of living a life that I'm proud of. At the end of the day, I really need to do what is best for me, but I also need to do what's best for my children. This is a marathon of a life. It is not a sprint. And so I'm not going to make quick, fast decisions, but I'm so proud that I could be in a room with him today, not get passive aggressive, not say anything mean about his girlfriend. I didn't even think anything mean of her. That going to that yoga class, it was this released. It was this namaste vibes. Honestly, I was like, oh, hope she finds somebody good if it isn't you. I was like, there's a lot of nice people out there, whatever it is. I was, did you have a good Thanksgiving? She doesn't like Thanksgiving. Okay. Talking about her domestic violence and restraining orders and why she doesn't see her kids don't see the dad. Okay. It literally did not faze me. Besides, here is a woman. And when you hear a story, you're like, it kind of makes sense why she doesn't necessarily have, all of her evolution journey, done. And I don't either. I'm far from perfect. So who am I to sit over here and judge somebody else for their imperfections? Because I don't want to sit here and be judged for mine, because there are plenty of them. And, that is my journey, right? That is me to say, hey, this is something I want to work on, or this is something I'm like, this is me and you can take it or leave it. Change the channel. Don't be around me. I'm okay with that. So I think today's biggest theme for me was acceptance and progress over perfection. I am accepting where my life is right now. Is it pretty? Is it perfect? Is it this tiny little bow? Heck no. But it is getting to a place where I can start to rebuild, where I no longer feel quite at a deficit and blindsided. I'm feeling more confident. I'm feeling more secure. I know that him leaving had nothing to do with me. I know that our relationship not working out had everything to do with the both of us. And it's unfortunate, and it is what it is. And I accept that. And I know that it may be difficult right now, but I know out here, not too far away, there is some reason, there is some why that is going to make me look back one day at a day like today and be like, aha, I see now. I get it. I know why it all happened. And so I say all this to say, thank you for supporting me. This is a really challenging time in my life, right? As most times are. Sometimes it seems like I've always got something coming up and going on, or some memory of something that went on. But no, really, this is. And so I really appreciate you tuning in. And I know it's not my normal, high frequency energy, but I feel like I'm coming back slowly and slowly. And I feel like in some weird ways, I'm coming back even better. Like, I feel like I've learned a tremendous amount of myself. So if you're going through something, I know it's really scary. Number one, I want you to know you're not alone. And number two, it's really brave to do the hard work. It's really brave to just sit with yourself. And that doesn't seem like work, but sitting with yourself and your thoughts, intentionally or unintentionally, like if you leave your phone someplace for 2 hours and you're just you and the vibes in there, you know, but really there is so much wisdom and knowledge and awareness that comes from that time. And so it's good to be alone. It's good to heal, and it's good to know that you don't have to sit in it and dwell in it forever. We have to figure out a way to move forward with it. It doesn't mean that we pretend it didn't happen. It just means we are wiser because it did. So I thank you so much for tuning in today. Please go out there, give somebody a big smile, give them a compliment, and just watch how they glow up. So thank you. Bye.